Hey there, Fletcher from All Things Overlanding here, and today I'm going to be talking about my new 5-gallon water storage from RotopaX. This thing is super cool, and I want to kind of walk you through what brought me to this container. I've had multiple water jugs, from the aqua brick to like the old school aquatainers that were 5 gallons. There might have even been an 8-gallon Coleman that I had at one point. So I've had a number of these jugs, but they always have problems. They're always hard to mount. They're always hard to access. And I like to be able to get them on and off really easily without having to do a bunch of stuff, right? Without having to figure out a way to hold them securely somewhere, without having to worry about leaks and things like that. So this thing solves a lot of problems that those old jugs present. So today I'm going to walk you through this thing. I'm going to show you all the features of it, and I'm going to talk about some of the problems that this thing solves if you are looking for a solid 5-gallon water storage solution for your overlanding or camping setup. So if you want to hear more about the RotopaX Camp Jug, stay tuned.
Understand where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip.
All right, guys, so let's just kind of start with the form factor. First of all, this is a 20-liter, like standard size jerry can style container. And what that means is you can use traditional jerry can carriers and put this thing in it. So if you had jerry can racks on the back of your truck, you could slide this thing in it. It works just like a Scepter can or any of those other 20-liter jerry cans. So if you had fuel, let's say, in a jerry can, and then you wanted one of these too, and you had a dual carrier, this is a way that you could use this thing to do that. This is also an American-made product, so they make these things in America, so they're not impacted by the tariffs, and it just feels good to support US-based companies, right? If you're going to spend your money, there are some cheaper, probably Chinese options out there, but this supports an American company that makes their things in America, that's been around for a long time, and you know that the quality is really stout with these things. So the walls on this thing are extremely thick, and it's very, very sturdy material. So you can throw this thing around, bump it around, smack it into a tree branch. You don't have to worry about it leaking or coming open. The other thing is it's made by RotopaX, which means it uses their proprietary mounts. So if you already have a RotopaX mount, which I do for my fuel can, so I carry a different thing on this at different times. So I have a diesel RotopaX can, I have a red normal gasoline can, and then I have this clear or white water can. So it just kind of depends on the trip. But like in the winter, usually when I'm going somewhere, I may not need gas, but I need diesel for my diesel heater, so I'll throw my diesel on here. If it's winter, it's going to freeze my water anyway, so I'm probably going to go with a different solution or take water bottles in a fridge or something like that for my water. So it gives me options. Now, of course, you could put multiple mounts on here too and run multiple cans, but I typically only need one at a time. I'm in the Midwest, so it's not like I'm going miles and miles out in the middle of nowhere away from gas stations, so when I don't need my fuel can, I don't have to carry it. And I like that because it gives me interchangeability, right? The other nice thing is a lot of us have RotopaX. We've had them for fuel cans forever, and maybe you've been dealing with one of those big, bulky blue, aquatainers or something, and there's no good way to secure them. You're using bungees or something. That's what I've done before, where you're throwing them in the back seat and then you're hoping they don't leak. With this thing, again, using a RotopaX mount, this thing is super secure on here. It does not move. And you can store it in the upright position, so gravity is going to do most of the work to keep everything in there. But then with the lid, of course, it's also not going to leak. It's totally waterproof. So I love that you have this option with RotopaX to do that and to make it a really lightweight, really simple solution for mounting this thing, where most of the water jugs I've had before, that's been my biggest problem, is just finding a good way to keep it stuck in one place. Now, another thing that I want to point out about this and the way that I've mounted it is this is external to the bed of my truck. And the reason I point that out is, again, with my aquatainers, with my aqua bricks, with all these things that I've had before. I had a 3-gallon aqua brick, which isn't very big and doesn't hold a ton of water, but that thing would kind of just fit inside the bed here between my drawer system and the side of the truck. But it was a hassle to get it in and out of there. You had to lift this, 20-some pound thing up and out of the truck whenever you wanted to use it. I mean, regardless, if you needed one sip of water to go into a cup, you had to take this whole big bulky thing out. Sometimes it would just be shaking around back there. You could risk breaking it open or getting leaks. It was just sitting back there, and if I was really motivated, I might bungee it in place, but it was always a pain, and then you have to unbungee it to remove it. With the RotopaX mount on the outside of my extrusion overland rack, this has now freed up all this space in the bed. So now not only do I not have to mess with getting water from the inside of the bed out, now it's taking up no room in the bed because it's mounted to the outside of my rack. So I really like that. Now, eventually I may be going to like a cap type setup, and when that happens, this will likely move into the inside. But again, the fact that I can just use this OEM RotopaX mount along the side of the bed of my truck to mount this thing and really quickly slide it into place and lock it in is really, really handy. I just like that mounting system so much more than bungees or D-rings and, you know, all that stuff that I've had to do before to secure my water. The other nice thing with this placement is that I can leave this on the truck if I want to, and I can even fill it up with my garden hose on the outside, or I could pop this thing off really quick, take it into the house, fill it up. Usually I just keep this on when I'm on a trip. I don't like to drive around with it for theft reasons, although these are lockable mounts, so I can lock them if I wanted to for security reasons on a trip. But you could just pull this off. I could take it in. I like to dry them out really good and clean them so that they don't get mold and stuff in them. And then when I'm ready to go on my next trip, I'll usually fill it up inside, bring it outside, throw it on the RotopaX mount, and I'm good to go. Another cool tip that I would give you is I actually bought a couple of extra RotopaX mounts, and what I did with them was in my garage, I mounted them to my workbench at the front of my garage. So when this isn't in use, I can take it into my garage, slide it onto there, spin the handles, and store it in my garage in a place that's not being used by anything else out of the way. So that is just a tip too. If you've got extras and you want to store these things when they're not on your vehicle, if you have, let's say you had 2 jerry cans on the side here, buy 4 mounts, have 2 on your vehicle and then 2 in your garage, pop them off when you get home. If you don't want to keep them on 24/7, take them into your garage, throw them up on the mounts, and you're good to go. Now, I'll put a link to this as well as all the mounts and stuff that I'm talking about in the description below. So if you want to pick those up, that'll make it super easy. So as I mentioned, it is a 20-liter, 5-gallon jerry can. Has this nice handle on the top that makes picking it up really easy, as well as that proprietary style mount on the inside here for the RotopaX mount. As far as the cap itself goes, it has a locking style cap. So you just push down on this button and then it'll allow you to spin it. When you pop that off, you have this nice little water jug in here. Now you do want to remove this cover so that the water can come out, but then you're basically going to put that on there. You're going to slide this thing back over it. This works very much just like a regular RotopaX. If you're familiar with those, it's very similar. But then this is going to allow you to pour the water. So that is an option. If you wanted to use this, I use this a lot for putting out fires and things like that. That's mostly what I use my bulk water storage for, is when I'm done camping for the night, I'll use this to put out my fire efficiently the next day. But if you needed it for drinking water or something, you could use that spout. Now, another option is one of those, battery-powered USB-C rechargeable pumps. There are a bunch on Amazon that I'll link to a couple down below. The Dometic one is the most expensive, but it is really nice. I actually got one sent to me from Iceco just as like a gift for like their 6-year anniversary or something, and it's really cool. And so I got this for free. But so basically it has this tube on it that you could just take your cap off, put this down in it, set this on top, and it does fit on there. I did test it. So it fits just about perfectly on the rim of this. And then basically what you do is you click that, it pops out, and then it's going to pump the water. So let me put this in here and I'll show you what this looks like. All right, so here we've got our tube. We are just going to drop it all the way down into the bottom of the thing here. So then once you've got your tube down in there, if you want to dispense water, all you got to do is hit the water thing. And as you can see, it puts out a pretty good amount of water. So if you need to wash your hands, if you're cooking, that sort of thing, really, really nice. And then when you're done, you fold that back down. Now, I keep mine separate. I don't use it enough to where I need to keep it permanently on here. So I will just take this thing down off the side of the truck, set it on the tailgate, drop this thing on top. And that's pretty much how I use it. When I'm going to be cooking something or need to wash my hands, I will throw this thing on the tailgate and just use it there. I like simplicity and ease, so that makes it really, really easy. Then I've got everything in this nice little bag. This is my pump. This is my water jug. And that's the whole system. So again, that is the Camp Jug from RotopaX. If you are looking for a really easy to mount, really well built water jug that's easy to use in your setup, then I think the RotopaX Camp Jug is a great option. Versus just throwing things in the back, versus bungeeing things. Like, this is just so much easier. It's so much quicker to throw it up there. I love that you can lock it on so you don't have to worry about theft. These things do run about $80, so they're not the cheapest jerry cans on the market, but again, made in America, super good quality. $80 isn't that much in the grand scheme of things to get this form factor and something that's really user-friendly. Again, especially if you're in the RotopaX environment already, if you've got fuel cans, if you've got diesel cans, if you've got mounts and everything, this thing's just going to work with all that stuff that you've got. But so that will do it for the 5-gallon RotopaX Camp Jug. Hope that was helpful for you. If it was, click that like button. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, make sure to click that subscribe button. Click the bell to be notified when new videos drop, because I do a couple every week, usually something about gear, some sort of DIY or budget price type stuff. And then I do general overlanding stuff and Nissan content. A lot of Nissan content here because I'm a Nissan guy. So especially if you're a Nissan person, you should be subscribed to this channel. Also below this video is a join button, which is just a passive way to support the channel, and it also gets you early access to the videos and some other perks. But if you want to be more involved with all things overlanding, there's also a link to my Patreon group, and $5 or above in the Patreon group gets you access to our 24/7 Discord, where we all chat about our rigs and our gear. People ask questions, we share memes, we joke around all day. It's actually a ton of fun. There's about 20 or 25 people in there right now, so if you want to join that, check that out. Then there's also a link to my website where I've got funny overlanding camping themed patches and stickers, things like don't burn your wiener and it's a hot dog, or I hate people so I camp. There's also all things overlanding patches and stickers. So if you want to decorate your truck or your fridge or your windows or throw it on your headliner or a backpack, there's tons of funny options that are related to camping and overlanding down there for patches and stickers. So check those out. And then of course there's the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group, which this group is totally free to join. About 26 or 27,000 people at the time that I'm recording this, and it's growing every day. But unlike the other big groups, this one does not allow any bullying or anything like that. So unlike those big groups where you got people just constantly being negative and kind of poo-pooing on everybody, we try and help each other out and be supportive. So whether you are new at overlanding and want to ask questions and not get beat up, or if you've been doing it for a while and you're just tired of the negativity in the big groups, we'd love to have you in Newbie Overlanders. But again, that will do it for the Camp Jug. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.